Hello everyone, hope you're fine. Today I will be talking to you about perception. So let's start. First, let's talk about the outline. What is perception? Rules of perceptual organization, perception of movement, stroboscopic motion, depth perception, perceptual constancies, and finally visual illusions. Let us start with the definition of perception. Perception is the way in which we organize or make sense of our sensory impressions. Also, our perception is based on our experiences and expectations. Let us move to rules of perceptual organizations. First, closure. Please take a look at this picture. Do you see blotches of ink or a dog? If you perceive the dog, therefore, all what you are doing is filling in the gaps to make it a familiar pattern, and this is closure. Now take a look at this picture, specifically the black color. Yeah, it's a vase. Now focus your attention on the white color. Yes, there are two faces. This is the figure ground perception, which is the perception of figures against the background. Let me ask you a question. Do you see 6 columns or 3 pairs of columns? If you said 3 pairs of columns, then you are influenced by the law of proximity or nearness. Now, do you see 8 columns or 4 columns of circles and 4 of squares? If you said 4 columns of circles and 4 of squares, then you are grouping by the law of similarity, which said that people think of similar objects as belonging together. Then, let's move to this picture. Do you see half circles, every other one turned down, or a wavy and straight line? If you saw the wavy and straight line, then you are organizing your perception according to the continuity rule. Now with the last rule in rules of perceptual organizations, which is the common fate. Have you ever seen a flock of birds like this, flying together in the same direction? You assume that they are one group, they are flying to the same place, and they have a common fate. Number 3, perception of movement. To be able to sense movement, you need to see an object changing its position relative to constant objects, like trees, buildings, or pavements. Now with my favorite part in this section, which is stroboscopic motion. First, let's see a video. I'll be back in a minute. Oh wow, it seems really moving. This is exactly stroboscopic motion, which is produced by showing rapid progression of images that are not moving at all. Let us move to depth perception, which is the ability to see things in a 3-dimensional way and to judge distance. Also, there are many ways to judge depth. The first cue to judge depth is clearness. Nearby objects appear to be clearer. So the clearer is the closer, right? Let's move to another point. Which of these 2 circles appear to be closer? Yes, the blue circle. I agree with you. But why? Overlapping. Overlapping is the perception of an object as being in front of another object by blocking our view of more distant object. That's why we saw the blue circle nearer. Shadows and highlights also affect depth perception. To prove that, take a look at this image. The circle on the right seems to be closer, right? It's due to its highlights and shadows. Please take a look at this flower. Look at how detailed it is. Now, let's focus further out. A lot of details are lost. Therefore, your brain says,
okay, the farther away I'm looking, the less texture I will be able to see.
And this is texture gradient. Now with perceptual constancies. Each person's experience creates perceptual constancies of size constancy, color constancy, brightness constancy, and finally shape constancy. And we will talk about each one of them in some of details. The first one is size constancy. Size constancy is the tendency to perceive an object as having one size, no matter how far the object is. The second one is color constancy, which is the tendency to perceive an object as keeping its color even though different lights. The third one is brightness constancy, which is the tendency to perceive objects as having equally bright, even when the light around them changes. Finally, shape constancy, which is the ability to perceive objects as having constant shape, despite receiving different sensory images. Finally, visual illusions, and let's start with multi-layer illusion. Do you think that the arrow on the right is taller than the arrow on the left? Why? Because it reminds us of how far a corner of a room looks, while the other on the left reminds us of the outside near corner of a building. The last one is the Ponzo illusion. Do you perceive the top line as being longer? If so, therefore you assume from experience that the horizontal line at the top is farther away from you. And now we have reached the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed it.